Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Boxing Shop. Another week, Monday night. You already know what's going down. It's me, King Felix G, here with Ray. How you doing, Ray?
Hey man, doing good. How about you?
Man, I'm great. We went 4 weeks straight of killing Catch and Counter podcast in the ratings, and they just threw in the towel for week number 5. So I definitely say I'm feeling good tonight, man.
Hey, let's keep it going.
Yeah, we got to keep the momentum rolling. Catch and counter for some people who are just tuning in and not familiar with us. It's ITR Boxing. We have 2 podcasts. There's one Monday night here with me and Ray. Sometimes Dakota joins in. Sometimes we'll have special guests, as you'll see in a few minutes. And then on Friday night, we also have the Catch and Counter podcast hosted by Jack and Nibs, and Dakota also hops on there sometimes too. And we like to have a little ratings war every now and then, and we've been smashing them for the past month. And they just threw in the towel last week. They didn't even go on the air. So hopefully we see them back this Friday. They do provide a good insight, and they got an interesting show too. They got some good segments on there. So make sure, if you guys are tuning into this, make sure you tune into them on Friday as well. Clearly, they need the views. But how was you doing, man? How was your weekend? Did you enjoy some of the fights?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, man, I saw the Lomachenko fight. I'm like, hold on, what happened? Yeah, I think that was really the only fight of significance. Would you say? I mean, that's the one that I caught. So I like to think. I mean, I'm a huge boxing fan, but at the same time, like, I'm not catching every card, every fight. But Lomachenko is obviously one of those guys. When he fights, you have to tune in. So I did tune in and watched him in Cambosis.
Yeah, definitely. Same. And I'm in the middle there. You know, Jack, as I mentioned, is on the Catch and Counter podcast on Friday, and Dakota, they're going to watch every fight card there is. And I'm right there in the middle. But I didn't catch anything other than the Lomachenko and Cambosis card. And, also shout out Bourbon and Boxing. You know, he says he's not going to be able to tune in live, but he'll catch the replay. And appreciate you guys. If you guys are watching this on the replay, make sure you like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, especially, and follow us on Instagram. Really trying to boost those followers up again. But
I know sometimes it sounds corny. Like I'll be watching stuff and I hear people say that, but it really helps.
Yeah,
it really helps get us in the algorithms and all that. So yeah, you can, man, throw us a like.
Definitely throw us a like, share it with your friends, throw the link out there on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever platform you use. And again, we will have a special guest. Jesus Ramos is coming on in a few minutes, so we're not going to get into too deep a discussion just yet. But yeah, the one thing I wanted to touch on really quickly was, did you catch the Maloney and Guevara fight?
I didn't, bro, but I was mad because when I saw Maloney was fighting, I saw he was favorite. Bro, I don't feel like the Maloney should ever be favorites. Like, they just don't really offer enough. Like, I feel like anybody they're in there with, that person has a really good chance. And his opponent was, as was an underdog. And like, I think I saw him at plus 195. I couldn't get in on it. And man, I should have, right? He won, right?
Yep. Yeah, he definitely won. And Maloney was doing one of those Teofimo Lopez type fits and basically called his retirement afterwards too, which is crazy to me, because he felt he got robbed. And a lot of fighters do feel like they, in a close decision, sometimes they do feel that they didn't get the right end of the scorecards there. But I think the right guy won. Even the commentators did as well too.
I mean, yeah, everything I heard, like, wasn't watching the fight, but I was keeping up with it. I didn't hear any controversy on that, And the Maloney's, like, yeah, like, you got to give them props because they're always in tough fights, I guess. But at the same time, I don't think it's their choice to be in tough fights. Like, they're not that good, so they're going to be in tough fights no matter who they fight. Like right. It just is what it is. Like, I mean, props to them for fighting, but, I know in our group chat, I think Nibs or maybe Dakota was like, bro, these guys take on the top guys every time. It's like, nah, they're just not that good. So, like, everybody, they're in tough fights, like, it is what it is. I do give them props. Like, they they had their fights in the United States. They did come over, probably their last few fights ago or whatever. So yeah, I give them props, man, because like I think in their heart they're fighters and they came over and they did that, but they just never really stood out to me. You know, it was a good story, brothers, twins, or whatever, undefeated coming from Australia, and they picked up a belt, I believe, maybe both of them, but I don't know. I feel like they exceeded their potential, and that's good on them, you know.
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
really think they're that good.
But we have our special guest here now. We're gonna go ahead and add him into the show, and we'll get back to the Maloney and Lomachenko card later. But welcome, Jesus. How you doing, bro?
Good, good, man. How are you guys?
Doing good over here, man. Welcome. You know, we've been trying to get you on for a couple weeks. I know you were fresh off that fight. You know, how you feeling after that one?
Feel good, man. I'm blessed to just have the opportunity to fight on such a big stage. You know, Canelo's undercard. I'm blessed, like I said. And I wanted something like that. A tough fight to kind of just erase the memory, of that Lubin fight. Um, I felt like I needed to have a good fight, a good outing to kind of win my fans back, kind of prove something, and that's exactly what I did, man. I'm very happy with my performance.
Yeah, man, that's a hell of a knockout. Like that's gonna be one of the meanest knockouts of the year. When that punch lands, or maybe even before it lands, what are you thinking? Because he walked right into that. Like, what's the immediate thought process?
Yeah, man, it was actually a punch that I had been setting up. I had thrown it a couple times. He wasn't quite ready. He was still fighting back. So when I threw it earlier in the fight, it didn't land how I wanted to. So in that moment, I threw that same hook to his body, and I saw that it hurt him. So when I was gonna throw it again, I feinted downstairs and went up. I saw immediately that he dropped his hand, and I was like, okay, this is where it's gonna be, And as soon as I hit him, man, I felt it. I felt that it was the right punch. I felt that I just felt everything, like kind of like hitting the baseball right at the right spot, and for a home run, So that's kind of how it felt.
That's awesome. I was about to be. I didn't know if you play baseball, or whatever, but when you hit it, the farthest hit, right? Like you don't feel anything. It's just flush, whether it's a golf club, baseball. But yeah. I mean, I've never knocked anyone out like that, so I was wondering if that's how that feels.
And
yeah, man, definitely.
He was no pushover too. We were talking about it before your fight. I mean, that dude has almost 100% KO ratio in his wins.
Yeah.
How I know the fight announcement came up like really quickly. Like it was like one thing to the next. You were on the undercard right away within like a 2-week notice. But how far in advance did you know he was going to be your opponent? Because I know you were training for the card, but you didn't really necessarily have an opponent yet, right?
Right. Yeah. I believe it was about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks when I found out it was him. He was actually getting ready to fight Thomas Lomana. He's a good friend of mine. Shout out to Cornflake. He was set to fight Thomas Lomana sometime in June, and I was supposed to fight somebody else. We were still confirming that, and then they presented me that fight, potential fight with him, and we took it. Like I said, I felt like I needed something like that, a tough fight. I didn't want, I was hoping to get the rematch, so I didn't want the tune-up fight, and Johan was no tune-up, man. He was a hell of a fighter.
Now, I know you want the rematch, but it doesn't seem like Lubin does. Have you guys been in talk with with him, and what's the response been so far?
Man, we tried hard to get it for May 4th, really hard. But yeah, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want to give me the rematch, and I mean that's fair. It's all right. If I gotta earn that rematch, I will. You know, or potentially, if he's gonna want to fight me, in the future again, because I want to keep fighting tough fighters, man. I want to keep fighting the big names in the division, and everything's opening up right now, man. I mean, it's crazy. Fundora beat Tim Zoo, and now we got Crawford in this division. Everything is kind of just moving around pretty crazy right now. So anything can happen in this weight class. You know, it's an exciting weight class, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, 154 is crazy right now. Going back, I mean, you kind of went through a murderer's row, right? And maybe they're not the biggest names, but for me, it really started when you fought Vladimir. He was coming off the J Rock win, and I think the Angulo win. And I was like, you know, I don't know, you were maybe 21 at the time, and I'm like, man, if Jesus, like, let's see what Jesus got right here. And when you took him out, I was like, okay, we got something, right? And then you go into the Joey Spencer, undefeated. And then the Lubin, like why all these tough fights back to back as such a young guy? Or like what?
Well, I mean, and honestly, Vladimir was kind of I had already had some fights. For me, I think it started with the Javier Molina fight. You know, and at 19, he was I fought him at 19. He was a Olympian. You know, he had way more experience. I fought him and I beat him, and then I fought Brian Mendoza after him.
Yeah,
Brian Mendoza, yeah, and he came and knocked out Fundora. So, I mean, it all started there, and then Vladimir and all of that. So, I mean, to tell you the truth, I have a lot of faith in myself. You know, I feel like I can I could beat these guys. You know, and it was no different when the Lubin fight. And I mean, I felt like yeah, I should have done more, but I still feel like I did enough to win. You know, but um, everyone has an opinion over that, and that's all right. You know, I respect it. But I just I like that, man. I like the thrill of fighting these tough fighters. I think they bring out the best in me, and it just it motivates me. You know, in camp, knowing that I got a tough fight, I prepare myself. I think even you know stronger, harder, and like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, I want to make these tough fights. You know, I mean these great fights. I want to kind of like that era when I used to watch, you know, Barrera Morales, Barrera Marquez Pacquiao. You know, these were all, you know, great fights. People just look forward to that, and then we can kind of bring that back. You know, and I think it's slowly coming. You know,
yeah.
we're kind of getting rid of that Mayweather era where everybody has to be undefeated. You know, now it doesn't matter how many losses you got. We keep fighting each other, and it's cool, man. You know, I think it's bringing a lot of excitement, not only in this weight class, but in just in boxing in general.
You know, so when you do that announcement comes that they give Lubin the victory, which was a close fight. Are there any like regrets of taking that fight, or we always say on here that all losses aren't created equal. Like that's a tough fight. Nobody's just going into that fight. So, you know, for us, even though, you know, you could have won that fight, we didn't think like, oh man, this puts Jesus down. But as when you hear that you're not the winner, are you thinking like, man, I messed up, or what are you thinking when that happened?
No, I never regretted taking that fight. Of course not. You know, obviously in the moment it was tough, man. It was like that was a tough. It was just tough to go through, you know. But I was like, it's in the moment. All I kept thinking was it's boxing, you know. It's a sport. We have to go through this, you know. And I honestly, I just wanted to run out of the ring, man, and get out of there. You know, just I wanted to somehow get from the ring to my room at the MGM. You know, I just wanted to from the T-Mobile kind of teleport to my room. You know, just don't see nobody. But I said, you know what? It's like I said, it's a sport. I gotta be a man, and yeah, man. I went and did the interview, and I did what I had to do, man. But like I said, I was devastated. I was heartbroken. Um, and I mean, like you said, Lubin is no pushover, man. You know, he's at the top of the division, but still, man. You know, it's like I said, it was just a lot of controversy, and man, I hope we can make that rematch happen. You know, that's something that I would really look forward to.
Yeah, and I had and I'll send you the clip too. I was trying to upload it in here. I was running into some technical difficulties, but it's funny because it was on the same, you know, on your card. The Zone was having technical difficulties as well because they had the camera locked on to, well, they had the audio, the microphone on to Mara Ronaldo and Jim Gray and all the commentators, and they were just talking casual because they didn't think the cameras were on. And I recorded it because Mara Ronaldo was right there saying, and again, it's casual. They don't know the cameras are on. And he's like, with all due respect to Erickson Lubin, Jesus Ramos won that fight. So it's clear that it's known that it's controversial, and many people do think you won that fight. With that being said, with all of that out there, does the management team and people that are involved, the matchmakers, is there any pressure from them? Do they feel like they need to make the fight happen, or is it all in Lubin's court, do you think?
I mean, yeah, right now it's all in Lubin's court. Everyone's trying to make this fight happen. Well, on my side, everybody on my side is trying to make it happen, and like I said, it's the ball's on Lubin's court. It's up to him to take it. But if he doesn't, we're not gonna wait on him. We're gonna keep fighting. Hopefully, my next fight is against another top name in the division, and keep proving myself, man. Keep showing that it wasn't my night. That night was just not Jesus Ramos.
Well, Jesus, I mean, you seem really like pushing for this rematch. I mean, pushing for this rematch. Did you learn a lot from that fight where you're like, all right, I could go in there and do something different? Or because, I mean, it seemed like you want this fight right now. So what did you learn from that, and why pushing so hard for that?
I definitely learned a lot, man. And that's not the reason why I'm pushing for, and I wouldn't necessarily like say that I'm invested so much in this fight, like I said, if it happens, it happens, but we're not gonna wait for him. Something that I feel personally, it would be satisfactory to, beat him and get that out of the way. But like I said, if not, it doesn't matter. But I do feel like that everything that happened was a blessing in disguise, man. Definitely, I changed a lot of things from that fight. Not only in my boxing life, but just my whole lifestyle just kind of switched. I really I started reading a lot more. I started learning a lot of different stuff. Like I said, it was more of a lifestyle change. Just reading, paying attention to different stuff, and just really more positivity, man, in my life. That's all I've been looking for. Peace, positivity, and it's something that I didn't feel like I was paying attention to back then. And like I said, to me, it was just more of a blessing in disguise, man. I changed a lot, and obviously, even in my boxing, everything, my ring IQ kind of elevated. I started just improving, like I said, in every aspect in my life in boxing, and just as an athlete as well. As a person, as an athlete. And yeah, man, I definitely feel the difference, and I feel like I displayed it, on the 4th, on May 4th, against Johan Gonzalez.
Yeah,
Can you be at 154 for a couple more years at least?
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
I feel good at 154.
Yeah, that fight was I mean, that was, anybody who watched it can agree, that was one of your most impressive victories. I mean, from round 1 to the end, you were on top of him, and that, again, you only had 3 weeks to prepare for him, but I don't know how much adjusting you did in the ring. You mentioned earlier you were kind of seeing how different things were landing and how you were getting them, but man, that was a hell of a performance with Johan.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I feel like I said, I just felt comfortable in there. It's also a lot to do with the experience, man. Fighting Lubin on such a big stage, kind of helped me. Just it's more like I've been there, done that type of thing. I had fought on great cards, on big cards, but nothing like that. Fighting a Canelo undercard is a big magnet. Is another different level of a huge magnitude of just everything, man. From fight week to fight night, everything is a lot different. And like I said, it was the second time around. I had more experience. I knew how to handle different things, and like I said, I just learned and grew from it, and it's helped me, a lot.
Now, who are some of the guys? Because again, we've talked about this division is stacked. I know, there's Frondora out there, which I think that's a perfect opponent for you right now, and especially with him having the championships. Is that somebody you're eyeing, or is there anybody else specifically that you think stylistically you would want, or just somebody in general that you want to fight?
But I mean, that'd be a great fight. Fondora's he's a hell of a fighter, and that'd be a great fight. He's awkward, man. That'd be an awkward fight. He's freakishly tall, but other than that, you know, I mean, his style is he comes forward. He likes to engage. So that I mean that'd be a great fight, and for it would be an entertaining fight for the fans, and for me as well. You know, that's the type of fight that I like. But honestly, anyone at the top. You know, we got Virgil Ortiz and Tim Tszyu. Like I mentioned, Crawford, Madrimov. You know, it's crazy, man, and I think all those fights eventually are gonna happen, and I'm excited. I'm excited, and I'm ready and focused to be part of all of those fights. You know, um,
Yeah.
I want to take on those big challenges.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time on here. Like 154, it's like talent wise, there's so many guys, and also in that division, man, it seems like the guys want to fight.
Right.
I credit Tim Tszyu. I mean, all those guys, they're fighting, and I think if there's one division where losses don't matter, it's right here because you mix those guys up, and I don't think one person is winning 10 out of 10 times. Like there's gonna be you got to be on your A game that day when y'all fight. So yeah, 154 and you in that mix. Who do you consider, like, let's say outside of you, the top 3 guys in the division?
Top three. I definitely got to go with Crawford now that he's up here, man. In the 154 pound, I think he's all around the more complete fighter of all of us. You know, he's like I said, he's been there, done that. Type of situation with him, he's already been undisputed at 140, 147. So him coming up to 154, definitely he's the number one guy right now. And then after that, I would put Fundora and Tim Tszyu. Fundora and Tim Tszyu, they're up there. I think those are the top 3 guys. It's hard to do. It's hard to just put 3 guys because like I said, we got Virgil Ortiz and all of those guys in this division that they're tough. But I think I'd go with those 3 I think the toughest out of the 154-pound division.
And one thing I'm curious about too is you're on the come up, so you're moving forward. You're looking for the guys in front of you, up there. I've always been curious on do you pay attention to guys still kind of behind you coming up, like Charles Conwell or Xander Zayas? These guys aren't too far behind you, but they're still got a little bit ways to go. But what are your thoughts on those kind of guys coming up? And do you even pay attention to the the lower ranked guys on the come up?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, I do pay attention. I do study. I mean, I think I study everybody in the division. Especially those names. Charles Conwell. He's up there as well in the division, and that'd be a great fight as well. Charles Conwell. Xander Zayas, I think that potentially is a great fight. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. That'd be a war, and I definitely pay attention to all of those.
That'll be food for you, Jose. Xander is food for you. But I'll tune in for sure.
Thank you, man. Well,
Now,
we got to make that happen in the future.
I know a lot of those fights. We've talked about there's a shift in boxing, and I think it's evident we're getting away from the undefeated Mayweather era. Do you think there's going to be a time now where promotional companies are easier to work with? Xander, I'm just going to use him as an example. He's a top ranked guy, and you're on the PBC side of things. With your knowledge of how things work, do you think fights like that are going to begin to get easier to make now, or is that still kind of a roadblock?
Nah, I mean, I don't think it's a roadblock. Not now, especially. I mean, we see this August 3rd card, where everyone's fighting everybody. That's an exciting card, man. And I don't think we're past that as well. I think everybody's working with each other, and PBC and Top Rank have worked with each other. We got the Wilder versus Fury fights, and I mean, if I think if the money is right, the event is right, when everyone's gonna come together, of course. So I don't think that's a roadblock anymore. And like I said, we're getting all these great fights, and it's evident, that that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'm looking forward to, whatever potential matchups there might be, because between both promotional companies and anybody else out there, there's 154. I feel is like the mature version of 147 and even 140. Like there's some dogs up there, man. And with Crawford up there too, it's gonna get hot, man. It's gonna be a
I
lot
mean,
of
yeah. I mean, just that weight division, right? Because you got the speed, you got a lot of power still, so you a lot of punches thrown. Like you gotta be a fan of 154. Like, and then with these guys that are in it right now, like whether you like the boxing type or the brawler or the man, it has it all. So 154, I really hope coming up there's a spotlight on this division, man, and all these fights get made.
Definitely, man. I mean, there's a lot of talent, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think there's definitely going to be spotlight in this division. A lot of
So,
great fights.
so is there any, I guess, temptation for you to just go to 160, which kind of seems more open, or is it like you feel good at 154? You're there for the long haul.
I mean, yeah, there is obviously. I mean, it seems like it's just a clear path, at 160. Especially now what happened to Jamal Charlo, but
Yeah.
I mean, I've always wanted, to be a champion at 154. It was actually the plan at 147. I grew that division really, really fast. So now that I feel comfortable on 54, I kind of want to start here, become a world champion at 154 and then 160, potentially 168 in the future. So, I definitely want to start here winning titles at 154.
Cool.
Now, do you want to? Are you looking to unify as well, or are you just looking to get that, the championship, maybe 2 belts, and then move up? Because right now it's all kind of scattered around a little bit there.
It is, but no, I think that'd be the mission, man, to unify, to be the unified man. All of them, all the belts. Get all the belts at 154. Just continue to do the same. At 160, 168 is kind of what Crawford did at 140, 147. So I think that's really cool, man. Honestly, that's awesome. That's for him to do that, and that's that's kind of the goal, man. I know it wasn't such a big thing back then, and now it is. So it's just another challenge for us boxers, that it can be done. So why not do it?
Another thing that I was looking at before we came on the air, because I wanted to just get a understanding exactly where you were ranked with the governing bodies. And one thing that stood out to me was that Errol Spence is ranked number 1 at 154 by the WBC. He hasn't had a fight yet. He's coming off of a loss, a brutal loss at that. Is it frustrating to see stuff like that, knowing that you've been grinding in this division along with, other fellow fighters in this division? He just announces he's going to fight here and he gets boosted to number 1?
Nah, man, not on my side. I mean, I think the right time comes for everybody, it's all right. There was Spence. I guess whatever he did, he earned that number 1 spot at 154, I mean, if we're considering what he's done in the sport, and that's what we're basing this off of, then I guess he deserved it. But I don't really like to like kind of like envy or stuff like that. Like, why him and not me? I'd rather just continue to work and earn it. If the WBC feels he's number 1 right now, 154, then he'll have a couple fights. He's gonna have fights to prove that, and we'll see how he does at 154.
Yeah, and I mean, shoot. I mean, looking at your resume, like you have wins that age well, right? Like I forgot about it before, like the Brian Mendoza fight. That's better than some guys' best win. And you did that a while back. So, I really like your approach of just fighting anybody. And hey, let those wins age as time goes by, right? Like Brian Mendoza went on to become a champ, and that's your old work. So
Right,
yeah,
that's what it's all about, man. Like kind of just let my work speak for itself. They can control all of that. They can control who fights when, who fights who, how everyone's ranked. They can control all of that. What they can't control is my work. what I do, how many hours I put in the gym, how hard I train, how I perform. That's something that I can control, and that's something that I'm in control, and I'm gonna continue to work hard, continue to be disciplined, so that when the time comes, it's just they can't do that, anymore. Just jump jump over me or do this or do that. It's just having my work show for itself. That's my goal. Just working and earning everything more than anything.
Hey, this last card, is there a difference fighting on the Canelo undercard? Are those lights brighter? We always hear, the lights and whatever. And being on that card, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, man, definitely. There is. It's different. There's a lot of people, man, and like the thing that throws you off the most is just the variety of people. Like I fought on the Benavides versus Plant card, and I was co-main event, and like when I was walking out, it just felt different. The environment felt different. Like everyone was a boxing fan. Like everyone that was there knew boxing, and obviously, because Benavides and Plant, you kind of got to know boxing. They're not really big names like Canelo, so you got to know boxing, and you can feel that, and it's weird, but you can feel that they knew and they appreciated boxing. When you walk out in the Canelo undercard, you get a variety of people, man. You got celebrities, you got some boxing fans, you got actors, you got different people, and they're all close to the ring. So you can kind of feel it, like, and sometimes as a boxer, you can, you see it, some people are just there for Canelo. Some people are just there for, publicity, whatever. You can
Sure,
almost
they're
see
just
it,
there because other people are there, and
right,
hey, this is where I'm supposed to be.
right. Like you can feel kind of like almost like their attention isn't there, and it's something that you just learn, to kind of just kind of block it out, But that first time, like I said, it's almost like you feel it, man. Like they're not even paying attention to the fight, and it's weird, but it is there. It's just more of like a big event. You get all types of people, like I said, so it was just different. It really is a huge event to be fight to like a Canelo card is just it's different. It's a different environment.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's interesting.
Me and Felix were there at the Benavides plant, and like you said, that was like real boxing fans. Like
Right.
we were there early, and it was filled up already. Like people watching it, and like Canelo, it's like okay, they'll trickle in for the main event, or they're kind of just there. A lot of people just there to be seen. So I was wondering about that. Thanks.
Yeah, man. It's definitely a big change.
And again, you mentioned, you train hard, and you definitely are one of the. I've seen it with my own two eyes. Like you're watching your training sessions before the Lubin fight that alone was exhausting. It was hot. The gym was hot, and I think you went through like 2 or 3 t-shirt changes during that session too. I mean, that was intense, man. You definitely put in the work. With that being said, too, when can we expect to see you back in the ring again now?
As of right now, it's September. That's what I was told, but I'm staying in the gym. If something comes up sooner, we'll definitely take it. But so right now, like I said, September, and I mean, I think September is reasonable. We're already kind of mid-May. We'll go into June, July. July and August, just training camp. It'll be good for September, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things shape up, and
If you stay on that Canelo schedule and Mexican Independence Day, oh man,
that's the plan. Yeah, man.
I hope so.
That's the plan.
Well, appreciate you coming on, man. Again, I know it's late, and we've been trying to get linked up for a while, but hey, appreciate you finally coming on, and I'll be seeing you soon, I'm sure too. And any other last comments you have for people tuning in, supporting you?
No, man, I want to thank you guys. Thank you guys for taking the time. Everyone that's supporting the show as well. Thank you guys for, like you said, it's late, for staying up with us. Man, I appreciate your time. hope to see you soon as well, man, at the gym or wherever. I appreciate you guys' time for real. Thank you guys.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Jesus.
Thank you, man. Sure.
Thank you. You guys have a good night, man.
All right, you too. Cool, man. Such a humble dude too, bro. I mean, every time I see him, every conversation I've had, he's just as chill like this, and he'll talk to you. And I've seen him do it with fans too. He'll chat with fans the same way he was chatting with us right now. He'll sit there and chat with all the fans. Great. I mean, shout out to everybody at the Ramos Boxing Academy.
And let's not get it twisted, man. He's a killer, bro. We saw him. We saw what he did to Joey Spencer, right? Like undefeated Joey Spencer. That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, those wins that he has, that's like his old stuff. Like, bro, those are some wins that those guys are still getting better and still gonna do some stuff.
Without a doubt.
I think he's probably like 23. I'm pretty sure he's under 25.
Yeah.
And that is what boxing needs, man. Like these guys that want to fight the best. They want to fight, man. That's what I do. Let me show you I'm the best. And he kind of is the personification of that.
Right. And then he's right there in that division that we've talked about before, where all of these guys in that division, especially besides like Crawford, I think his opponent is undefeated too. But other than that, everybody has at least one loss there, which isn't a bad thing at all. Yeah. It makes for a good, compelling story because everything seems even now. You know what I mean?
He named I think in his top 3, which is a tough question, right? Because what are we looking at? But I want to know the names that kind of stood out. And he says Tim Tszyu. Well, I mean, then Tim Tszyu's got an undefeated guy, Vergil Ortiz, coming at him, you know? Yeah. And what's going to happen in that fight? Vergil Ortiz could easily make his name, boom, now I'm at the top of the mountain. But hold on, we got Jesus Ramos, who's right here just as young, and, he's not going to say no to that fight. So there's so many different options and ways that this could play out. I just hope they stay at 154 for a couple years, which is why I asked it, right? Like, bro, I think he could go to 160 and win a belt easy.
Oh, yeah.
But,
without a doubt.
As a boxing fan, being greedy, I'm like, hold on, man. Will you stay at 154 for a little bit to give us some of this? And, I think he's probably a fan at heart and appreciates it. And he's probably he just seems like a competitor and wants to fight people. So you got to respect.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And then there's some other names that, we didn't mention was Ioannis Tellez. Bro, that guy's he's a beast too, man. Callum Walsh is another guy coming up.
I mean, right there in the comments we got Castaño. Like, remember, like it was just him and Jermell going at it not too long ago. So
right, yeah, and I mean they had 2 back-to-back wars as well too. And I really want to see whether there's a title involved or not. I really want to see Tim Tszyu and Jesus Ramos. Like that's a war right there. There's a lot of good fights to be made at this division. And I would love, honestly, to see Jesus Ramos get a crack at Errol Spence, too. I think that'd be
come on, bro.
Tailor-made for him.
Bro, I was very high on Errol Spence, but that just sounds like a mismatch right now.
It does.
Like you're saying Errol Spence, Jesus Ramos, and he didn't talk down on him at all. Said, hey, that's the number 1 guy. Let him fight the number 1 guy, and right. you'll see, and I just love that attitude that he brings to the sport. And come on, Errol Spence knows better than that, man.
Right. And I think that's which he mentioned, and, great answer too. You can't basically hate on what Errol's already accomplished. That's elevated him to being the WBC number 1 contender.
And I mean, he mentioned, and we've mentioned it prior, that Mayweather era and the guys directly following Mayweather, like they were all about that right?
Yeah.
And, he mentioned Crawford, but I feel like Crawford kind of falls into that. And, you can name him number 1 of this division, but I don't think Crawford wants to fight the Jesus Ramos of the world, the Vergil Ortiz.
No,
I think, and it's kind of been mentioned already, right? Like, Canelo, like the big money, the whole we're businessmen, the biggest fight or the biggest Crawford, do your thing, bro. You're obviously one of the best in the world, but the generation right after him, those are the guys that I feel that got boxing on the back. It really carry boxing going forward.
Yeah, and I mean Crawford didn't even want to fight Boots. He
That's what
Yeah, he clearly said, I want the big money fights. And, to his credit, again, he's in a position, he's earned it now where he can just pick and choose. But yeah. And then, let's say, who's to say in a couple of years Boots doesn't move up and now, we have a big showdown there between the two. Like this weight class, this area right here, it's great, man. You see some dogs at 140. You see him at 147, but 154 is kind of the landing pad. It does kind of stop after 160. You don't really see too many dogs at 160. But
yeah, and like I said, bro, I think that's just the combination because 140, 147, especially everything 160 and down, it's like you got that combination of speed, power, output.
Yeah.
And they're just right in the sweet spot of it. And and that, bro, that's like through recent history, right? Like look at where Fernando Vargas was best, Felix Trinidad,
oh yeah,
De La Hoya, Mayorga. Like it's just that you got some real punchers. You got like it kind of everything is right there, and I feel like this is the perfect time, and I hope boxing promoters take advantage of it.
And even like Shane Mosley, for example. I mean, he was explosive. He was unbeatable at 135. I think the only guy who I think in history had a chance to beat him was Roberto Duran. Like back and forth, those two guys, and that's historically. But as Shane moved up, he became more human, and by the time he got to 154, his fights were super competitive at that division. And so, like these dudes that are coming up, like they're filling out. Like I'm not saying Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia could be competitive at 154 right now, but let's be real. When they step into the ring, they're in that division. You know what I mean? So these are guys that their natural weight is right there. So the guys that are in these lower weight classes right now, they will eventually make their way up there, within.
Yeah, I mean, I think whether it's trolling or whatever, but like him and Errol Spence have been going at it.
Yeah.
And like, bro, with Spence's last performance, like, I'm not against thinking Ryan knocks him out with the left hook.
Yeah,
like
I'm curious.
It's like everybody is kind of funneling into those divisions, And if you're gonna put Errol Spence at number one, that's cool. WBC, do your thing, but just know you're putting a target on his back, and I don't know if he's ready for that.
Right, and that's a hell of a task for Errol Spence. But he did say he don't take no tune-up. He wants the big dogs. So we'll see if he wants Fundora.
And where's my boy Swift at?
He's at 160, right? He's campaigning.
I don't know where he's at, but
yeah, I think he's campaigning at 160.
Hey, I mean, the game might be passing these guys by, but hey, if you're a body and you're in for a fight, like I'm like, come on, we're not gonna watch Swift versus any of these guys.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, we are. I mean, Denny's still got a name, and I mean. Hopefully him and Lara do have that fight because Lara's been proving now in his recent outings that he's not gonna run around anymore. He's got those old man legs. He can't do it, and he's gonna sit there and fight.
Shoot, if you could hurry up and get a belt at 160, do it because these guys at 154, they're not gonna be there forever.
Right.
And it's just a lot of talent in and around that division and coming up.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And what's funny too, circling back to like Jesus Ramos's work, Joey Spencer, he was undefeated. He was on he was fighting some tough guys. I mean, he fought Kevin Salgado, beat him. That's the guy that Elijah Garcia had a really tough fight with. The first few rounds, stylistically, styles make fights, right? And Joey Spencer, dominated him. After that, he ran into Ramos. Ramos, destroyed him. And I mean, Joey Spencer's had one fight since then, and that's it. He basically derailed his momentum too at the same time. And that's when you do that to another undefeated fighter, that says something.
Yeah, and like let's not forget, like PBC was showcasing Joey Spencer on a lot of those cards, those Fox cards, those free cards, and Joey Spencer was delivering. Like, bro, the speed, the quickness, and so when they put him in against Jesus Ramos, that's another one. Like, dang, for real. Props to both of them for making that fight, but go back and watch what Jesus Ramos did to Joey Spencer. Like,
I know.
He did him dirty. He did him dirty, bro.
He definitely did him dirty. He treated a bum like. Well, I can't say that because
that's the thing. You can't really say that, right? Yeah, like Jesus Ramos isn't fighting bums. That's what I'm saying. Those wins where he makes dudes look like bums, those wins are aging very well.
Right. Right. Now, I'm going to use that to kind of segue into this past weekend because I saw something on Twitter that was pretty funny. They said that Devin Haney's record is aging like spoiled milk. And the reason being is, he gets a lot of credit for going to Australia to fighting Kambosos, beating him twice. And I think we're starting to see that Kambosos was just in the right place at the right time when he fought Tio. And
let's talk about it.
Do you think so? First of all, do you think Devin Haney's record is aging like spoiled milk, and do you think that Kambosos was never really that guy?
100%. Kambosos was never that guy. Like I think Ryan Garcia tweeted this week, like, "Hey, Kambosos really is kind of garbage." When I give Devin Haney props for going to Australia, because I do. Bro, he had to go over there. To me, the hardest part of that was getting on the plane and going over there. Right? Like, once you're there, you're going to beat that dude, right? Like, you're going to beat Kambosos. So, yeah, bro, like, Kambosos, that I feel bad. Like, props to him. But he turned a victory over Teofimo into... He made a career out of it because he since then he's been in nothing but big fights. He hasn't been competitive in any of them, right. But at least he fought the guys, right? And I'm like, what happened in that fight? And because Teofimo, bro, how did you lose that? But I think what was it? The Teofimo was like actively dying, wasn't he? Like he was sick and something with his lungs. And it was still a somewhat close fight, but and we also have kind of seen like Teofimo doesn't really show up for guys he's supposed to beat.
Yeah, like Sandor Martin and
But I mean, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, bro, Kambosos isn't that good. He's not.
It is. I think it was more evident this past weekend that he's not that guy that we might have thought. And I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. Yeah, I'm not saying he's a bad fighter, but the perception is that he was an elite right there in that weight range with everybody else, and I don't think that's the case. I think he's the gatekeeper there.
I think he's a tough guy. I think he's a tough guy. A lot of heart. Like you got to respect it, but he's not on those guys' levels. He's not on Teofimo's level. Like he beat him somehow, a miracle. If you match them up again, I'm sure Teofimo's getting him out of there in 4.
And then he went 12 rounds and had a close fight with Maxie Hughes. And I'm not saying Maxie Hughes is a dog himself, but I mean at the time that they fought, he was 26-5-2. So it's not like
that's who William Zepeda just washed.
Just starched him back in March.
Yeah, I was there. Like.
Yeah,
Kambosos, bro. Like, I don't know. I don't want to hate because he's taking these fights, and that takes a lot for them to get in there. But he's just not on these guys' level. Like, I had people asking me, "What do you think, Kambosos Lomachenko?" Like, we're really talking about this? Like, Lomachenko is gonna piece him up. I specifically remember, like, one of my friends saying, "What do you think is gonna happen?" And I sent him little meme back of a surgeon. I was like, man, it's about to be surgical. Like Loma's gonna do whatever he wants.
Exactly.
Loma did whatever he wanted.
And he I think it was a good fight. Moving towards the Loma side now. There's been talks of retirement, and I think this is a perfect fight for him to go out on. I mean, he doesn't again, he's had a hell of a career for such a short amount of time as a pro. He's made a hell of a name for himself because he jumped right into it immediately. He was in the mix. Granted, he took a L against Orlando Salido in his second fight, but still, I mean, he was right at it. His third fight, he beat Gary Russell. Gary Russell was that dude, you know what I mean? And Lomachenko deserves everything he's getting. You know, he deserves his flowers. And if he's going to retire, I think this is a perfect time for him to go out. I don't want to say I've seen him like slow down. I know there's already talks of him and Tank. Who knows if we get that? You know, I don't know if we even need that fight, but I think Lomachenko deserves a good retirement. This is a good send off for him if he wants to.
Yeah, but come on, you know that's not going to happen.
You know
you know he's not walking away.
Yeah, especially now that he has 2 belts. Probably not.
I feel like that Kambosos was a dangerous fight because you looked really good against him, but I don't really think Kambosos was that good. You know, so you looked really good. So I'm sure as a competitor, he's like, oh, I still got it. I'm still me. Boom, I'm just coming off of a knockout. Tank would he'd starch Lomachenko.
I think so. Oh,
I think so,
bro. I will bet. I would actually fill this. This is a 24-ounce mug. I would actually fill that with tequila, and that would be my bet. Because
you might die. I don't know who dies first, Lomachenko or you, because he ain't touching Tank. The way you feel right now, the way I know you feel right now, I feel like there is no way that Tank would lose to that guy that just beat Kambosos.
I'm not saying that Lomachenko wouldn't lose to Tank, but he's not getting starched by Tank. No way.
100%.
No, there's no way.
I really want this fight to happen now.
Yeah, there's no way that Tank blows him out. I mean, Tank might win. For me, it's kind of 50-50. Lomachenko's ring IQ is just nuts, bro, and so is Tank. It's underrated, very underrated ring IQ, and I think that would be a good kind of chess match in a way. But there's no way that Tank blows him out at all.
I think so, bro.
This fight needs to happen. This is a bet that is brewing right now. Without a doubt.
I'm saying, bro, and that's why I think Kambosos was a dangerous fight because he looked really good, and I just think that he did that against a lower level that people are considering a high level. And that can make him really get into a fight with – he should fight Shakur. I think Shakur might – that's like pure chess right there. Him and Shakur, they do different things. No one's really going to get hurt. But I feel like Tank could really hurt Lomachenko, especially at his age and in this,
Bean is apparently with you on that too. I don't see it, guys. I mean, if you guys aren't watching live and you're watching the replay, drop some comments. You know, we'll go back and read them still, respond to them, because I'm curious to know: am I crazy for thinking that Lomachenko and Tank is a close fight that goes all 12 rounds and nobody gets stopped, or do you guys think that Ray is right? Does Tank just blow him out? I don't think so. I don't see that happening.
For Lomachenko, he should fight Shakur for the safety aspect.
We'll see. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
No, that's like, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of pure boxers, but there is definitely intrigue with two guys at that level, right? Like, because that's different. That's like all-time boxing IQ, and then
we kind of
Shakur, what he do.
We kind of got that with Loma and Haney a little bit,
but this is where Haney really did good in the way he fought Regis, but against Loma he was kind of holding. And then we saw that even come back against Ryan, right? Like when he's holding. I don't feel like Shakur really holds, so I feel like him and Lomachenko will just be pure high-speed chess.
I feel like he does. He was kind of holding Valdez up a little bit when he needed to.
I feel like he'll run before he holds.
Yeah, possibly. But that would be a good high chest boxing match right there for sure. Shakur and Loma. My opinion on Shakur has definitely changed a lot. I used to think, man, nobody's messing with this kid, but it's definitely changed.
Bro, it's one fight, man. We're boxing fans. We're prisoners of the moment. Like, yo, you're only as good as your last fight. And kind of base everything off that, which, going back to what Jesus said, which is crazy, he thought like, yo, I'm going to lose fans after his loss. And it's like, nah, not if you fight like how you fight.
Right.
Right. There's difference. Like nothing is, you can't just put it all on one scale. But where like Shakur, where he fought how he fought, like completely running, didn't want to engage and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Our opinion of him changed completely.
Yep.
Now with Jesus, he lost, but he still fought the way that we know how he fights, and he's kind of hard on himself, saying he could have did more, he should have did more. Yeah, if he does, maybe he wins that fight and maybe he gets whatever. But it's like you got to present yourself at your best all the time, right? Because that's what we're going to remember. And so even though Jesus Ramos lost to Erickson Lubin, I wasn't like, I don't want to see this dude anymore. Like, no, I still saw Jesus fighting like Jesus. Now, when I see Shakur fighting, it was De Los Santos, was it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, De Los Santos could punch? No, I don't want to fight you now. And he's running around like crazy. So,
and it's facts right there. I mean, he took a loss. We still wanted to see him. Shakur won, and nobody wants to see him.
Exactly.
And he's made fun of by his peers online too. I mean, you see it, all the Twitter exchanges, people calling him out. How Ishe Smith was calling him out this morning. They were going back and forth, which is a Twitter war I never thought I'd see. Shakur Stevenson and Ishe Smith, but
I didn't know Ishe was still alive, so that's cool.
I mean, when you have Ishe Smith calling you out, it's bad because, and no disrespect to Ishe, he's always been good to us too. But I mean,
he's the first Las Vegas born world champion. Like,
yeah, definitely. Yep. But I mean, he didn't have the most exciting style. And people weren't, filling up arenas to watch him fight. Let's just be real. But, he is what he was, and he never tried to, stray away from that either. Shakur, on the other hand, is acting like his last performance just didn't happen. He doesn't even acknowledge it. And when people criticize him of it, he gets defensive. With Ishe Smith was going at him earlier today, it wasn't even from a bad standpoint. He was just being critical. And Shakur clearly got in his feelings and, just started lashing back at him immediately. So, deep in his psyche there, it affects him. He knows what he did. Yeah. Will he fix it? Who knows?
And I mean, that's kind of boxing to a further extent, right? Like, all these guys are individuals, right? And, we like some guys' styles. We like, and that's what makes them. And then I think some boxers fall into like, well, if I'm undefeated, you're supposed to like me. And it's like, no, man, like your style kind of means more than that record.
Right.
Go back to Jesus Ramos. Like, he has a loss. Bro, I don't care. I want to see him fight. And I know he's going to fight.
Yep.
And I felt like that was kind of the I felt Bivol fell into that, right? I felt like he beat Canelo and he kind of thought, okay, now I'm the guy. It's like, nah, hold on. It doesn't work. Maybe you think it should work that way. Like, oh, I beat the guy. Now I'm the guy. No, it doesn't work that way. Like, we saw Canelo still going for it. They're still Canelo fans. Like, just because you beat him doesn't mean anything. And when we saw that when they were kind of in the rematch negotiations and Bivol was trying to make the goal, like, bro, nah.
So, yeah, without a doubt. That's, when you say all losses are not the same, not created equal, all wins aren't either. And Bivol, and it doesn't work like that at all. Like, boxing is.
And can I put my Canelo cape on real quick?
Go ahead.
Like, Canelo lost that fight, but like, let's not forget he was injured, right? He had the hurt arm. He had the surgery on the arm after, and since then, He's been great, man. So
I
that's
still
just
think
my
I still think stylistically, Bivol was just a bad matchup for him.
maybe.
And again, all losses aren't created equal. I don't really take anything away from Canelo in that fight. I think all it did to me was show me kink in his armor. Doesn't say that he's lesser of a fighter than Bivol to me, but it definitely not that it exposed Canelo, but it exposed a blueprint on a way to beat Canelo. And I think Jaime Munguia was kind of having success following that blueprint early on, but Canelo showed how great he is and switched his gear up a little bit, and Munguia didn't really have much to do after that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if anything, Felix, I would say all that showed me is that there are weight classes for a reason. Like,
yeah,
some punches that Canelo was landing, they just didn't have as much as effect on the bigger guy.
right.
So. But yeah.
Well, moving to this weekend, it's crazy how we just kind of veer off of topic.
Yeah, I was about to say, how am I talking about Canelo? I'm a Canelo fan, but how we got to Canelo, I don't know.
Yeah, how we ended up, because we literally didn't. We don't have a format on this show. We just kind of go with the flow. We know what we want to talk about, which is in the title: Fury Usyk, Jesus Ramos interview, and Lomachenko. How it all flowed naturally, we have no idea. But here we are at Fury and Usyk now. I think that's the only one that just kind of randomly came about now. So here we are, Fury Usyk fight week. The shenanigans have already begun with what's his name, John Fury. What's his dad's name?
John Fury, yeah. Tyson's dad.
Headbutting somebody from Usyk's camp, and having the blood trickling down his face. It was perfect bloodstream too, because it just went right down both sides of the nose, and crazy, like already drama filled. First undisputed championship fight since Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. What are your thoughts on fight week activities so far?
Oh man, I'm here for it, right? I seen John Fury put out a statement, and it was an apology, but it was also basically, I'm not word for word, but he's like, "Yo, this is what we do. Like,
yeah,
we're a fight family." So the tensions are high. If the other guy gets in my face or even in that vicinity, everybody's ready to just pop off at any moment. And, for me, I kind of want to see that, right? Like, I like when there's like, hey, you bring your whole team, I bring my whole squad, and like, let's see what's up. John Fury's got to be, 60-something years old? Like, maybe. But hey, like he said, man, this is what we're here for. And it lets me know that, emotions are running high. And for a fight of this magnitude, like you said, this is for the undisputed heavyweight champion. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is undisputed. Like, Tyson Fury had it. He had the lineal championship, but there was still, over here. No, this is it. Whoever wins this is the man. So,
and we've been wanting Wilder and Joshua for the longest time. These are the guys who beat Wilder and Joshua decisively.
Yeah.
This is it. This is, in a perfect storybook, I would have rather have seen, Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua in a lineal unification bout, but we're still getting it with these guys, and they proved that they deserve to be here by beating those two dudes.
And those guys were involved. Like, they had the opportunity. There was opportunity for those guys to be here, but both of those guys got beat multiple times. Yeah. Like, Fury beat Wilder multiple times. Usyk beat Joshua multiple times. So hey, this is what we have in front of us. Yeah, it's undisputed for a reason. Like, there's no dispute after this. Right?
And it's crazy to think that next week when we're here, we're gonna have one heavyweight champion again, which hasn't been like that. We've had dominant runs. Vladimir Klitschko ran the heavyweight division for a long time, but during that time, you also had guys like Shannon Briggs as a champion at one point. What was that big heavyweight, like that 7 foot tall Chagayev?
Oh,
I think
Aluev, the Russian.
Yeah. There was different champions. Corey Sanders. Random dudes during that time. I believe it was Corey Sanders or just random dudes that were Layman Brewster had a run.
Chris Bird. Didn't Chris Bird pull off a victory or something?
Chris Bird.
And it was just the way Vladimir would win. And he usually knocked guys out of the end, but it was kind of lean on him. And then he'd get him out of there. It was just never really dominant. And I felt like he followed an era that we were probably going to hate on him regardless, right? Yeah. Like, he kind of followed Lennox, who followed all through the 90s. So when Fury was able to beat Klitschko and kind of really opened it up for all these new guys, now we're kind of seeing the culmination of that.
Yeah. And it's exciting, man. I think.
What do you think about? Because I'm seeing, Fury now he's kind of switched it, and he's kind of giving all the props to Usyk, saying this is the best guy I've ever fought. He's this, he's won championships at 2 weight divisions, and he's kind of turned it. From before, he was like, "Oh, I'm fighting this middleweight who doesn't belong with me," to now he's giving all the props. What do you think about that?
I think that's great. That's a great strategy to do as far as your like pre-fight promos and whatnot. Because what doesn't make sense is when the guy's sitting here saying, "You're a bum, you're nothing." Well, you're fighting him, so what does it say about you? So in this case, he's giving all the props to Usyk, which he does deserve. And I think it's only going to help him. If he loses, he's admitted that this guy's a great, and if he wins, he's already hyped him up like, oh man, he beat this dude. So for the casuals, which let's be real, this fight is going to bring in the casuals.
Yeah,
he's doing the right thing, I think. Whether he actually believes it or not, who knows? We know Tyson Fury is a little out there with some of his stuff that he says, and we can't really, we take what he says with a grain of salt. For lack of a better term, but I think it's a good strategy in his part to kind of be putting Usyk over like that.
Yeah, and I think it does play into Fury's mind games, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm sure when Usyk arrived fight week in Dubai or wherever they're at, I don't think that he thought he'd be getting all the credit in the world from Tyson Fury, right? Like leading up to this, it's been kind of the complete opposite. Right. So, you got to figure for Fury, that's kind of your opponent is now like, what is going on here? Like first this guy was saying, I don't belong here. I'm a middleweight. Now he's giving me. So, I think Fury's one of the best at these mind games that we say.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And that is a great strategy and a great mind game for him to play and utilize. I think he takes it, man. I think, and he's gotten into some really good shape. Now let's be real. Tyson Fury is not a body guy, so he's not going to sit there and look like Anthony Joshua in any way. But look at how he looked against against Deontay Wilder, and it's all strategy. He didn't have to, but he knew the game plan, and he added weight when he fought Wilder. And now with Usyk, he must know that he's going to be in there for a long night, and he's dropped a bunch of weight. And he's got in really good shape.
Well, all you got to look at is look how he looked against Francis Ngannou.
Yeah,
right. And he got dropped and whatever. But come on, you look at the guy that showed up for that fight and the guy that's showing up for this fight.
Yeah,
he trained like Fury trained for this. And I expect to see Fury at his best, man. Like, I think he's too big and too skillful for Usyk. But, the Usyk's coming to win. We've never seen him not come to win. We've seen Fury kind of just show up. But I think this Fury is the best Fury that can be provided.
Without a doubt, and I'm looking forward to it. Bean has a comment here. Unless it's a weak ass draw, that's the last thing you want to see in a undisputed contest like this of this magnitude in the heavyweight division. Roy Jones Jr. said it best. Every fighter wants to be a champion, but there's nothing in the world like hearing the new heavyweight champion of the world. Like that is the most prestigious title.
Especially this undisputed. Like, oh yeah,
without a doubt. This definitely the most prestigious title in all of boxing. I'm looking forward to it. Quick predictions. What do you have?
I gotta roll Fury. That's kind of biased. Fury's my guy. I never have thought that Usyk is that good. I was kind of more on the first half or the original talking from Fury. Like, that's a middleweight. You know, there's weight classes for a reason. Yes, he did beat Anthony Joshua, but he didn't really wash Anthony Joshua. Like, you know, that last fight was, you know, when Joshua was with Robert Garcia. It was a close fight going into those championship rounds.
Right.
Which Joshua, to me, was like at an all-time low. You know, he wasn't even in the conversation for me. So if he was having trouble with that, I think Fury's just going to be too much. And I hope Fury just goes at him the way he went at Wilder in the second fight.
I'm with you. I think Fury takes it. I think he has a relatively easy time. I think he might have some frustrating moments trying to figure out Usyk. He might be a little slippery for him, but I think Fury. I'm confident. And you know, one thing we talked about earlier, you know, the undefeated records and all that too. This is to talk about the magnitude of this fight. There's literally the IBF, WBA, WBC, WBO, the IBO, the Ring Magazine, the Lineal Championship. And both of these guys are undefeated. It doesn't get bigger than that for the heavyweight championship. I'm expecting the same way they had everybody at the Fury Ngannou fight, all the fighters there, all the older retired fighters, the legends. I'm expecting the same thing because the magnitude of this fight is real. Even Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield, those guys had both taken losses by that time. They weren't undefeated. This is huge, man. I don't think a lot of people really know or understand. Neither one of them are Americans, so maybe that has something to do with it too. But this fight is huge. The magnitude of it is ridiculous.
And I feel like Fury is a historian on that part, and I think that's kind of what that motivation is there. You know, we don't know until he steps in the ring, but he looks motivated, and I really feel like, you know, he has something to prove at this fight. He got dropped by Francis Ngannou, which looks really bad.
Right.
But like I've said, I don't think he trained maybe a couple days for that fight.
Right.
Now he has Usyk in front of him, and he's fighting a guy that really, I don't think he has to worry about the power, which is weird to say because they're heavyweights, right? And that's always the thing. One punch from a heavyweight could change the fight. I don't know if Usyk has that. You know, he didn't get Joshua out of there. And, you know, where Fury has fought Wilder, he's fought Ngannou, who didn't have anything but a punch. I think Fury can kind of go in there and be the bully again without having to worry about getting hurt, really.
Yeah. I think so. I think it's going to be a Fury win, and I don't know if it goes to a decision. I think Fury might pick up a stoppage.
Yeah, because, I mean, let's not forget, it was very controversial. What was it? Who was it? Dubois? That, you know, Usyk took that body shot, and they said it was low.
Yeah, which it didn't look low to me.
It did look low, and Usyk was down for a lot longer than 10 seconds.
Right.
So I think that plays into Fury's kind of what he can do. And then, you know, Usyk not having that really one punch can hurt you power. If we have a focused Fury, which by all accounts, he looks like it, I think he can go in and really, you know, he can make a case for one of the greatest of all time in my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, with picking up this win, it's without a doubt Hall of Fame, first ballot, easily.
Yeah.
Now on the undercard, there's a couple interesting fights, couple names. One of them that stands out is Sergey Kovalev. He's going to be on the undercard. He's fighting a kid who is 16-0 with 12 knockouts. It sounds like Kovalev is being fed right now, or he's being he's the food. Frank Sanchez is going to be on the undercard as well, and to me, this is his first 50-50 fight. He's fighting Agit Kabayel. Their records are the same. They're both 24-0.
That was the guy that was on the when they had all those heavyweights fight.
Yep.
Okay. The German, is he from Germany or something like that?
Yes, he is from Germany.
Yeah. That's a good fight. That's a good fight.
That is definitely a good fight, and it's a losable fight for Frank Sanchez. Frank, to me, has it all, but he doesn't always put it together.
Yeah, he's really inconsistent to me.
Yeah, exactly. He's definitely one.
Even when he wins, it's like the first rounds, you're like, what's going on here?
Exactly. Yeah. Joe Cordina is also on the undercard. He's fighting Anthony Casase for the IBF and the IBO Super Featherweight Championships. Good fights, man. Good fights on the undercard. They're unifying those titles. I believe
let me ask you, because I think you got it in front of you. What time are these fights happening?
That part I don't know. I do not know. It is going to be we already know it's in Saudi. I don't know what time the fights are going to be happening. I will look that up for you right now, though.
I do feel like that's like the downfall of Saudi fights. Like, I want to see it around 8. When these fights, they usually happen like 3 or 4 p.m. To me, it kind of takes away from it, but.
Yeah, I feel you. This one, it says here, Fury and Usyk ring walks are scheduled for 6:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So yeah, 3 o'clock for us here on the West Coast.
Okay.
Which, I mean, that's not too crazy. But yeah, and the main card is set to begin at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're gonna have one of those daytime cards for sure. And that is, I agree with you. It is one of those things. It takes away from the feel when it's during the day. I would have liked for this to have happened in the States, but again, boxing is a world sport, man. We if we want it in our country, then we need Deontay Wilder. You got to step up. You got to bring those belts back home. And with that being said, now there's going to be one champion, depending on how the fight goes. If it's a clean cut and there's not a rematch, who's going to get the first crack at undisputed?
I mean, I heard that Anthony Joshua was going to be in Saudi. And I think Tyson Fury said there's no point because both guys have a rematch clause. Which you figure puts it out, another 6 months or so?
Yeah.
Man, I really hope Fury just walks through him. I think if Fury could walk through him where, like, you could have 10 rematches and it's not going to matter, then maybe that rematch clause isn't, activated. But, chances are we're going to be about 6 months out.
Yeah, I would say so.
But there's a lot of things happening, right? Like there's still Wilder and Zhang happening.
Oh, yeah.
And who's going to stop a Wilder and Anthony Joshua fight, a Zhang and Anthony Joshua fight. So, yeah, the belts might be held up for half a year or so. But, hey, if these guys want to fight, there's a lot of fights.
Yeah, much like the 154 division, heavyweight hasn't really been that interesting till lately. I think some of the fights that have been kind of like some of the guys that we didn't expect, like we didn't really expect Big Bang to lose like that. And with him beating Wilder as well too, like nobody would have expected Joseph Parker to like have this resurgence in his career. Like that's
and. What happens to Joseph Parker, right? Like he deserves one of these big fights.
Right. He's gone on a path of, I thought when Joe Joyce beat him, that was it. He just kind of crumbled after that. And Joe Joyce to me was really, he was never really that impressive. So for me, I'm like, bro, you let Joe Joyce just run through you like that. And now,
Sure.
look at where he is now.
Well, run that back, like
Yeah.
it's just we're gonna get undisputed champion. You gotta love it. We're gonna get a heavyweight undisputed champion. All the belts, bro. I can already see Tyson Fury wrapped up in all of the belts.
Oh yeah, easily.
So, I'm pulling for Fury, but we'll see what happens, man. If Usyk wins, that's Olympic gold medalist. That's the cruiserweight undisputed, and then heavyweight undisputed. Like, hey, put some respect on his name, which maybe I haven't been doing in the past. But yeah, that opportunity's there for that to happen.
Without a doubt. I don't really know if there's any other cards this weekend. I think if I'm a promoter, I'm not putting anything up against that card anyway. But yeah, outside of that, that is about it.
Well, what's Nibs talking about? These guys, what? What are you talking about, Nibs? These guys that beat you at the ratings every week in and week out. What are we talking about?
Yeah, what is it, Nibs? The guys that caused you to just go off air last week because you guys got tired of getting smashed week after week in the ratings war. We're these guys, man. Definitely, that is us. But hey, again, if you guys are tuned in and you stayed up this late, or you're on the replay, make sure you tune into their show Friday. I'm sure they'll have a lot of nothing to talk about. But no,
hey, maybe you could tell me this was just today. The Floyd Mayweather. What are we talking about? Victor Ortiz?
Yeah, Floyd Mayweather and Victor Ortiz rumor. It's getting some legs behind it as far as the rumor is concerned, and I'm curious how far it goes because it looks like it was being elevated to a professional fight as well.
What are we talking about? Floyd's got to pay off the Saudis, or what? What's going on?
I mean, he's back in the States again.
That's good.
I know he says he has an announcement. What was the date he said?
I think it was the 15th, right?
Yeah, so in 2 days he's going to give us an announcement. If he picks Victor Ortiz, that would be crazy because I don't really understand the reasoning behind it. I know it was a kind of a controversial finish, but does Victor Ortiz deserve a rematch at this point?
I don't know. I mean, is it? Yeah,
maybe an immediate rematch back then. Yeah, but at this point, this far gone. I mean, Victor Ortiz is fighting 8 rounds.
What are we doing? I'd rather see Maidana again, or
right.
Yeah.
At whatever weight he is, you know what I mean? Victor Ortiz's last fight was, that was the one that I was at when he got dropped in the last round against a random guy that was 20-19. That was on the David Benavidez undercard when he fought David Lemieux. And since that fight, the guy that fought Victor Ortiz has went on to fight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times and lost 3 of those. They were all 6-rounders, a 4-rounder.
Yeah,
tells you the level of competition.
I don't know. That's crazy. So we'll see what Floyd announces on the 15th. As for, I saw one of the questions: where will Usyk rank if he wins?
He's now see that's an interesting one for me because if he wins, that's a historic achievement because again, there's never been a heavyweight undisputed championship of this magnitude with all the marbles, both undefeated, all of these title bouts, lineal championship, etc. But do I still rank Usyk above other great heavyweights? I think he's top 10, but do I put him above, Holyfield or Joe Louis or Muhammad Ali or George Foreman, Joe Frazier, Vladimir Klitschko? Like, I don't even put him ahead of Tyson Fury at that point. Let's be real. Like, I don't know. I don't know where Usyk ranks as far as all-time great heavyweights. I think what he does after that is going to show us a little bit more because he did beat Joshua twice. If he beats Fury, he's getting there. But I think I'd like to see him with another notable win. As far as solidifying his status as one of the greats.
I think he's maybe in the conversation. He's one of those guys where you'd be like, well, what about Alexander Usyk? And you'd be like, okay, but he's just not dominant enough.
Yeah.
Even the wins over Joshua, he barely won. Now, how he beats Fury, maybe that could play into it. But I just don't think and I don't know, maybe I'm just a Usyk hater, but I don't think he's in that combo, man.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess a win would put him in the conversation, but like you said, I'm not putting him over guys Lennox, Mike Tyson. I'm not putting him over any of those guys.
yeah, and then we would have to go through and like literally break down because the heavyweights, again, there's ranging from.
Yeah.
And
there's so many variables with Tyson Fury, right? Which kind of isn't fair. But like, if he comes in and beats Fury, and we say like, that wasn't the Fury that fought Wilder, like, then Usyk's not gonna get all that credit.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's even me saying it doesn't sound fair to Usyk, but I just don't. I don't consider him that.
right. It's gonna be fun to see what happens this weekend and how it actually turns out and plays out. But
speaking of, we had I don't know if it was the first, but Mike Tyson, Jake Paul.
Yeah,
are you getting amped up for it yet?
I'm excited. No matter what, I'm excited. I know somebody here in this chat is not excited.
He is. He is.
Nibs, did you turn the TV off when at the press conference when Jake Paul and Mike Tyson started talking, or did you only want to see Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor talk at the press conference?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I mean, I think that he said that's the greatest fight he's ever seen. So
yeah, that's. I mean, I can't say no, that's not, because I don't know what
you can 100% say no, that's not.
Well, it's not from me, in my opinion. I can't say what his opinion is. If he thinks that's the greatest fight he's ever saw, I'm not going to call him crazy because it was a good fight.
I'll call him beyond crazy, bro.
Greatest women's fight, without a doubt.
I don't know if that's the greatest fight I've seen this week.
Yeah, Devin Haney. I mean, Bill Haney and Floyd Mayweather was probably a better fight. Canelo and De La Hoya was probably a better fight, and they didn't even trade fists.
Yeah.
Yes, Nibs definitely said that. He definitely said that, Bean. And he also said, as you see in the comments, Tyson and Jake is garbage. We're going to bring it up again. He said he's going to watch the entire Jake Paul and Mike Tyson card from beginning to end with his popcorn and his nachos and his beer. And as soon as Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano is over and Mike Tyson and Jake Paul begin their ring walks, he's going to turn his TV off and he's not going to watch what happens after that.
And he's going to watch Serrano and Taylor because that's the greatest fight he's ever seen.
Yeah. If you want to hear his follow-up.
A lot of the greatest fight. Get out of here, Nibs.
Make sure you guys do tune in to his show on Friday. It's on this network, this channel, Friday at 6. I don't know if they're going to be on this week. I mean, we're a tough act to follow. Let's be real. And they're losing. They're down bad on the ratings, and I can understand why they wouldn't want to come on. They try to get a quick cash grab using Inoue's name, but we still smashed them that week too. Here we go. I said Serrano Taylor's one of the best fights I've seen. Not the. We'll see. We'll have to go back in the show and see exactly what his quote was, and we'll throw it up on Instagram and call him out on that. But again, definitely tune into them on Friday. Nibs, I don't know if you guys are going to be on Friday or not, but if you are, make sure you guys tune in, subscribe to the channel, notification icon turned on. You'll find out when we're going live for sure. But yeah, and then make sure you follow us on Instagram too. We're really trying to build that platform up. Building up, I'm gonna just be real. Building up the Instagram is hard when you got people posting random clickbait titles or just reposting the same articles. We post a lot of original content, and just get behind us, man. You're gonna see a lot of exclusives. We had Jesus.
Come on, man. We had Jesus Ramos on the show live. Like,
yeah.
Yo, that like I said, bro, he has the ability to carry boxing on his back. I don't think people realize what he brings. Like, Erickson Lubin's my guy. Ramos is my guy. I've known Lubin longer, but like these guys are really talented and they're willing to fight each other. They fought each other. Like they're just gonna push this sport. They're gonna push the sport forward, hopefully further than we can even imagine. And it's a new era. He referenced it. That they're kind of out of. He said, we're kind of out of that era where Zeros and Mayweather. That's what matters. So 154. I hope that kind of sets boxing on the right path. Where we don't care about Zeros. Who are you fighting, and who are you willing to fight? And yeah, man, tune in. That's kind of how the boxing shop gets down, and we'll call it how we see it.
Yeah, exactly, straight up. And again, show us some love on the Instagram. You show us enough love, and I'll post Jesus Ramos exclusive this weekend for you guys too. A nice little follow-up treat for y'all. But yeah, and the boxing shop has been around for such a long time that we had Erickson Lubin during before he had 10 fights. I think he was on this platform, and that was when he gave us that epic quote: "Treat a bum like a bum."
Yeah. I mean, even that goes to show you, right? Like he wasn't like, oh, I'm fighting this good guy who's gonna give me, this experience. He said, oh, I'm fighting this guy, whatever. Yeah, he's a bum. I'm gonna treat a bum like a bum. and that kind of set it forward. Like before, everyone kind of tries to, like this is his record, but whatever, he's really good. No, man, like these guys, this new generation of guys, they know what's what, and they want to kind of prove it to us. So,
yeah, without a doubt, great time to be a boxing fan if you're new. And hey, again, support everything. Comment, like, share. Follow us on Instagram at ITR Boxing. Any other last comments, Ray?
No, man. I'm really looking forward to this undisputed heavyweight championship. I think it's being slept on a lot. Partly because it's not happening in the United States, partly because there's not an American in it. But this is historic, right?
Yeah.
Let's call it out. It's a historic fight.
Easily, definitely a historic moment. And if you're a boxing fan, new or old, you definitely have to tune in. Don't pull a nibs and not tune in because it's Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. Like if you're a boxing fan in any capacity, you have to watch this one. It's historic and it's got historic implications without a doubt.
Yeah.
But that's it, y'all. Appreciate you tuning in. Again, shout out to Jesus Ramos. Thank you for coming on. And
sir, thank you.
Shout out to everybody tuning in and dropping comments. And again, if you think that Gervonta Davis is going to blow out Lomachenko if they fight, drop a comment because I'm curious to know, am I crazy for thinking that Loma takes him to a decision? Or do you agree with Real? Do you think he's going to get blown out by Tank?
Loma, fight your core, bro.
There we go.
Bro, it's a lot better for your health.
Wise last words from Ray. That's it, y'all. Peace.